So the head of Larian Studios got to do a little mini speech at the Game Awards, and it kind of called some people out. And I'm really excited about it. I've heard some things about it. I'm excited to watch it. It's very short, but I can appreciate everything that Larian Studios did with Baldur's Gate 3, and I can't wait to see what he said.
Welcome last year's winner from Larian, Sven Vinka.
I realize you guys have been sitting here for over 3 hours, but I still have some time credits from last year to cash in. So it turns out that not only will I be the one who will know as first which game wins tonight, but I actually also know which game is going to win next year, the year after, and the year after. Now, how do I know this? Well, an oracle told me. She said, change is coming.
Change is coming. I feel like he's about to call some people out, and I'm really excited about it.
A modern oracle, so they made me sign an NDA, but I trust all of you. I know you can keep a secret, you will never leak it. The oracle told me that the game of the year 2025 was going to be made by a studio who found the formula to make it up here on stage. It's stupidly simple, but somehow it keeps on getting lost. Studio made their game because they wanted to make a game that they wanted to play themselves. They created it because it hadn't been created before.
AKA create something new and create something that's actually enjoyable. Not something that's just focused on stupid gimmicks or ways to just milk people dry.
They didn't make it to increase market share.
Exactly.
They didn't make it to serve as a brand. They didn't have to meet arbitrary sales targets or fear being laid off if they didn't meet those targets. And furthermore, the people in charge forbade them from cramming the game with anything whose only purpose was to increase revenue and didn't serve the game design. They didn't treat their developers like numbers on a spreadsheet. They didn't treat their players as users to exploit.
That's literally all gaming is nowadays, and it's so frustrating. I'm so happy that he's calling this stuff out, because that's exactly what Larian Studios did. They had a good team that built stuff they wanted to build, focused on making a good game, and didn't worry about just numbers on a spreadsheet or worrying about their investors above anything else. If you make a good game, people will want to play it. Blizzard has forgotten this time and time again. Ubisoft has forgotten this time and time again. Ubisoft is planning to come out with a new Assassin's Creed game twice a year, which is not for the sake of the players. It's not for the sake of making a good game. It's for oversaturating the market and trying to increase just the amount that people invest in their company. It's not because it'll actually help their sales. It'll just help their investors. Because how a company does is not always directly correlated to how their stocks perform. So we get stuff like this. And it's frustrating. And then you get a bunch of developers that are just paranoid about whether or not they're going to have a job after the game launches. Because on top of that, games are being bloated to insane degrees. The original World of Warcraft took 40 developers to make. Every game studio nowadays is far and beyond that, but they're not making games as good because they're focusing on all the stuff that doesn't matter. And despite the fact that we now have tools to make things far more efficient, but we do have games that have a little better graphics, it should kind of equal out in some parts. I would understand some level of bloat, but the amount that it has exploded, it makes no sense as far as the amount of people and the amount of time it takes to make certain games, or mostly the amount of people they're throwing at it. What they need is people that are good and dedicated and want to make something good.
And they didn't make decisions. then you were short-sighted in function of a bonus or politics.
Yeah, that too. They're focusing more on politics in games than they are about making a good quality game that people will enjoy. Don't be short-sighted just trying to improve your numbers. Try and make something good that people will remember, because people will come back.
They knew that if you put the game and the team first, the revenue will follow.
Exactly.
They were driven by idealism and wanted players to have fun. And they realized that if the developers didn't have fun, nobody was going to have any fun. They understood.
I mean, Blizzard didn't do that very well for quite a while. They kind of have a pretty bad track record, but they still made some good games. So that part's a little bit of a toss-up. But hopefully you still don't want your people to be miserable.
The value of respect. That if they treated their developers and players well, those same developers and players would forgive them when things didn't go as planned. But above all, they cared about their game because they loved games.
This happens time and time again with Nintendo. Nintendo has games that come out and they are not up to snuff sometimes, but they try to make sure that they put out fun games. I did crap on Pokemon to a decent extent in an entire video where I went on a rant about it and how Digimon was better. But that being said, Nintendo has a track record of doing what they can to make sure that their developers are well taken care of and not lay people off at the end of a game cycle. They are just trying to put out good games most of the time. And so when their games come out and they're buggy and they're like, hey, we're sorry about this, we'll fix it, people forgive them because they know that they're doing what they can to crank out good quality games most of the time.
It's really that simple, said the Oracle. Winning Game of the Year turned out to be a life-changing event for us. It was an amazing thing. To those who will win Game of the Year 2024, you have no idea what's waiting for you. It's an incredible honor, and you're in for a heck of a ride. Now remember, should you be told to wrap it up for tonight, you can always come back next year and chat for 3 minutes, okay? So, now, to pay tribute to the nominees for Game of the Year, once again, Lorna Balfe and the TGA Orchestra.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, he's got a valid point in every aspect. And it really does call out studios like Activision Blizzard and Ubisoft, because they are doing nothing close to what he is saying. And it is showing in the product to an incredible degree. Those games are coming out and getting worse and worse. They're worrying more about the politics, worrying less about whether or not the game is fun to play. And they're worried more about whether or not they can get more investors to boost up their stocks rather than the actual sales of their game and making things fun and enjoyable and something people really want to get into and play. They need to get back to that. And he has basically listen to the people that made the really good game and try to make a really good game. Don't focus on the other crap.